Hi and welcome to this Digerati Dom screencast that's going to look at how you can set up your very own official Facebook page for your school. There are a few prerequisites, however, before embarking on this little journey over the next few minutes, and that is that you have had good thorough consultation with your senior leadership team in school, and they're really excited about this as a development and happy for you to go ahead. That you've got, in addition to this, a comments policy, as we've got on the blog post which accompanies this video, and that you've obviously got the prerequisite email addresses set up as well. And I want to talk about the email addresses first. When you're managing any social presence, we need to attach it to the institution rather than individuals that may be within the school, and therefore it's preferable to set up email accounts to actually manage the presence, because the presence may be managed through different people at different times. So for example, setting up an account Facebook at costello.hants.sch.uk is advisable, because that way once you have that email you can either set up it as an email alias or set up then mail forwarding to bounce the emails that then come from Facebook back into school around to different staff in the school to facilitate moderation of comments and so on. So that's actually very important. So what I have here is Costello Technology College's account. This is a brand new account we've got set up purely to manage our Facebook presence. We've actually called it Costello Cyber Police because we actually use this account to do any Facebook investigations with sort of cyberbullying and issues that we may have in school as well. So obviously just make sure that you give things an appropriate name. So I've just literally logged on as the individual. I don't have any friends, and I won't be adding any friends to this at all. I've locked the privacy settings right down, hoping that you know how to do that. And we're going to go through the process now of setting up and creating a Facebook page. And I'm going to start by actually opening just another browser tab and actually putting to Google create Facebook page. I've spelt it wrong, but I'll still go to it. And you'll notice that you've got this URL here that you go to create a page on Facebook. So I'm just going to click on that. I'm already logged on and there's a cookie on the computer, so it knows that I've logged on using the school account. Make sure that you are logged on with that and not your own account, otherwise you'll take ownership of the account and not the school. So I'm going to click on Create Page, click on Company, Organisation or Institution, and you'll see from the drop down list that we've got School and University, and you just put the name of the school. It's important you get this exactly how you want it to be presented on the page, because this is what everyone will see. So I'm just going to call this one My School, and then click on Get Started. There's a catch for just to make sure that you're not a bot trying to get lots of pages set up, and we then just go through and submit that. Okay, now Facebook have actually improved the whole process, I think, for actually getting this set up by going through a number of structured tasks that you can see down here from 1 through to 6, and we'll just quickly go through each of these. First of all, the image. This is the one that's seen in the top left area, and I would suggest that you really want to put that as your school logo. Make sure that it's a high quality image that has got the same sort of aspect ratio as we have here, and that way it'll fit nice and snugly in the space that you've actually got provided. You're not really going to go through and actually suggest to friends, because the account we've got doesn't actually have any friends attached to it, so there won't be anything in there anyway. You can also tell your fans, and you can import contacts. Now I have heard of some schools actually pulling in all their parental email addresses that they might have stored within their MIS. Personally, I'm not sure whether that's a good idea in terms of sort of data protection regulations and so on. At the end of the day, publicise your presence through your newsletter and other channels, and people will soon find it, so I wouldn't worry too much about that element. You can obviously start posting updates if you want to. We'll talk about that later. You can promote the page on your website. That basically gives you the opportunities to start constructing your own widget for Facebook, if you like, that creates the HTML code for, and then you can embed that back into your own websites and so on. And things are certainly moving away from XFBML, which is the Facebook XML markup language. It makes it a lot easier for people to engage with the social networks. And of course then you can set up your mobile, and I would suggest for schools that you don't really do that, because it just tends to be a mobile that's attached to a person rather than the school, and numbers change in the future and all sorts of things. So we'll just quickly go over what you basically get then as standard. You've got your wall, and also your information, and we'll talk about how you manage this later. You've obviously got your RSS feed. Some schools I know pre-populate that into their Outlook for staff, so that everyone pulls back in the Facebook feed, so they know what's going on. Down on the right hand side you'll have this area here for the admins that they see. This one is quite an important one, and that is that it will always post to the school Facebook page using the page itself rather than the account that's being used to set it up. What's really useful is if you add other admins who are using their own Facebook account, their own personal Facebook, to admin the school Facebook presence, they can actually set it so they post as a page rather than an individual, and that means that they're really secure from being sort of found by students and so on. And I would strongly suggest that there needs to be quite a lot of educating of staff with regard to locking down their own privacy settings, and also making sure that staff don't actually like the page, because as soon as you like the page it pulls all the photos of people that have liked the page, and staff need to be really kept out of the equation, I think. Okay, so we're going to go through and just look at how we can then start going through and editing the page. So we click on edit the page, and what I'm going to go through are all the settings very quickly, and tell you how the best way to set things up. So the posting preferences, make sure this is ticked, because that way if you ever forget to change it to post using the page, it'll always just post to the page, and therefore it's protecting the identity of any of your admins. The email notifications will be sent to the Facebook @school domain address, hopefully, that you've set up. You can obviously, if you have more than one page, view the email settings for all those different pages, and you can also then look at your notifications in terms of how things are actually sent out to you. So that's how you can actually go through and start editing that information. Let's just go back to our page. You'll see from the account you can go use Facebook as page. Next area to look at are your permissions. If the page visibility is ticked, only admins can actually see the page, so if you ever need to take it down for maintenance, that's a very easy way of doing it. I would suggest that you may want your page to be seen worldwide, so you don't have to put any country restrictions in. And if you want people to be able to see your Facebook presence without having to be logged on to Facebook themselves, make sure the age restrictions here are set as anyone, that's 13 plus. So on your wall posts, I would suggest you put only posts by the page. Make sure that you've also then got here the default landing tab. Make sure that is the wall, because that way when they first go to the page, the wall's they're going to see. And I would suggest the first time that you sort of get this set up, and for the first few weeks, to aid moderation, that you actually turn off other users being able to add content. Make sure that you put your profanity list to strong, and you can then, anything that sort of comes through that's not picked up by the profanity block list, you can actually populate and separate those words with a comma. It's quite a good idea to put the surnames of all your members of staff in there as well, for sort of obvious reasons. If you ever want to delete the official page, then you can click on this delete page down here. So I'm just going to save those changes. Make sure that you go through and spend some time putting all this information. Doing so will mean that you get a Google map or Bing map put in with regards to where the school's located. The profile picture, as we've said, should be your logo. We talked about the featured likes, so you can actually like pages yourself as a page and then put them onto your area on the left hand side. You've also got these resources, some really good resources there for you to actually start looking at guerrilla marketing with your social presence. The one that's of interest here is how you link it to Twitter, which is this one here, and that links through the API. You can also go through and get your username once you actually have enough page likes, and to get your custom URL you need to have at least 25 people liking your page before you can actually do that. You can obviously add further admins, particularly using members of staff own personal Facebook accounts, although unless you're prepared to give them some training, you may want to limit the number of admins that you actually have. And then you've got the opportunity to put on further apps, and I would suggest you check out the first video where you can see the apps that we've got installed for the Costello Facebook page, because that seems to be a good combination of apps for you to actually use. If you do want to post to your mobile, then that's the email address that you can give out to staff to actually be posting through. And you've got your insights, which are basically all of your analytics in terms of page views and so on. Do make sure that you go through and create a photo gallery and make sure that's for your profile, because then you can edit your pictures up at the top, and it's a case then of just starting to go through, refine it. I would suggest that you don't go through and actually start publishing your page out through the newsletter and so on until you're actually happy with the content that you've actually got on the page at the moment. So that really is a very, very quick summary as to how to set up your own Facebook page for your school.